Patsy, you ready to go? Yeah, okay. 6 o'clock, why don't we go ahead and get started? This is the Planning Commission meeting of June 4th, 2024, and the first item on our agenda tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Commissioner Savage.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if we could have the roll call, please.
Chairman Grimm. Here. Vice Chairman Looney, absent. Commissioner DeJesus.
Here.
Commissioner Hastings.
Here.
Commissioner McCarthy.
Here.
Commissioner Savage.
Here.
Commissioner Bill Martin, absent. Student Commissioner Daphne Ortega, absent. Student Commissioner Julia Tacano.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. If there's any changes, please let us know, or if not, I'd entertain a motion. Commissioner DeJesus?
I make a motion to pass or to approve the minutes for the meeting of May 7th, 2024.
Commissioner Hastings?
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. If we could cast our votes, please.
It looked like it worked at this end, however, did not display. So could I please have a hand vote, please?
All in favor? We have 4 in favor and 1 abstention. Commissioner Savage?
Thank you.
Good. Okay, the next item on our agenda is oral communications, and this is an opportunity for the public to speak on any item that is not on tonight's agenda. If that's what you intend to do, you can come forward now. You will need to fill out a speaker slip and bring it with you and present it to our secretary. If you haven't filled one out yet, you can fill one out after you speak. Is there anyone who wishes to speak under oral communication? If not, we'll move on to the public hearing items. And for those that are not familiar with the public hearing process, there is a process, so I'm going to briefly explain that process. First, staff will give a presentation on the project. And after that's done, the applicant will give their presentation. And then the commission at that point can ask either staff or the planning commission, or the applicant any questions they might have. Once that is completed, we will open the public hearing, which allows the public to speak. And when all the speakers have spoken, then we will close the public hearing. And after the hearing is closed, the Planning Commission will discuss the item among themselves. And following that, we'll take action. So that's basically the process. So the first item on tonight's agenda is a public hearing. It's public hearing 23-0216, which is a minor use permit for a skate ramp. And we could have staff report, please. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Chairman Grimm, members of the Planning Commission. The project before you tonight is a skateboard ramp. The applicant is Evandro Menendez. The application number is P23-0216, and it's for a minor use permit. The address for the parcel is 1264 Oak Drive. It's approximately 0.42 acres. It's one legal parcel, and it's currently developed with a single-family home. Here's an aerial photograph of the site. Surrounding land uses include single-family residences to the north, south, east, and west. The general plan land use designation for the site is medium-low density residential, MLD. The zoning for the site is single-family residential, R1. In February 14th of 2023, the City Council approved a policy 300-16, which requires a minor use permit for skateboard ramps that exceed 6 feet in height. It also established review criteria for that process. The project before you tonight is a request for a minor use permit for a 2,000 square foot skateboard ramp located at the rear of the parcel. The height of the ramp ranges from 14 to 18 feet. Current setbacks include no setback along the south property line, 17 feet from the west property line, and 30 feet from the north property line. The ramp is constructed of wood and maintains a surface known as skate-light material. This ramp was constructed initially in 2013. The site plan before you indicates there's a single-family home towards the center of the property, and the skateboard ramp location is at the rear of the parcel. In regards to fencing, the submitted plan indicates there's a 6-foot-high privacy fence that surrounds the rear of the property. In regards to landscaping and screening, the property owner has utilized landscape materials and other screening devices to help screen the skateboard ramp and the associated activities. Along the north property line, the property owner has installed reed screens, privacy walls along the skateboard ramp deck, trees, as well as other screening materials in order to provide screening and soundproofing purposes. The west property line includes reed screen privacy screens, as well as shade sails above the fence line. And along the southern boundary, the ramp maintains a wooden railing with shade sails. This is an elevation of the ramp, which identifies the height of the ramp as well as the construction of the ramp. Here's an actual photograph of the ramp. Keep in mind the ramp that we're reviewing tonight is at the rear of the property. There is a secondary ramp, but that's shorter than 6 feet in height. Therefore, it isn't affected by the new policy established by the council. In regards to consistency with the Council Policy 316, landscaping and screening, the existing perimeter landscaping includes mature trees along the northern and western boundaries. The property maintains a 6-foot-tall perimeter fence, shade sails, as well as reed screens. In regards to soundproofing, skate light, a ramp surface material used on modern skate ramps, was used for the smooth texture and the minimal noise generating qualities. The ramp also includes sound deadening foam-filled coping, encasing of the undersides of the ramp deck with plywood, and railing supports that include sound deadening insulation. In regards to materials, wood composite materials were used for the construction of the ramp deck. There was no metal decking materials used on the ramp itself. In regards to special events, there's no scheduled special events on this ramp. In regards to parking, the subject site currently maintains one driveway to accommodate 6 vehicles and 2 parking spaces along the public right-of-way in front of the property. Staff does note that the staff report that was provided to you indicates 8 parking spaces on the driveway. However, I want to clarify there's 6 on the driveway. The ramp will not be used for business purposes or home occupation. In regards to hours of operation, the skate activities are limited to the hours of 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, and no ramp activities occur on Sundays and holidays. In regards to lighting, the skateboard ramp is not equipped with lighting. Setbacks, the skateboard ramp currently maintains no setback on the along the southern property line, 17 feet on the west property line, and 30 feet along the north property line. The applicant is proposing to move this ramp directly north to accommodate the code-required 10-foot side yard setback from the southern boundary. With that, staff is recommending the Planning Commission adopt the resolution granting a minor use permit for a skateboard ramp exceeding 6 feet in height at the existing single-family residence located at 1264 Oak Drive. That concludes staff's report. I know the applicant would like to introduce himself and answer any questions the Planning Commission might have at this point.
Very good. Would the applicant come forward?
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Evandro Menezes, and this is my wife, Courtney Menezes, and we are along with our 4 young children of the home at 1264 Oak Drive. We are seeking to obtain a permit for the ramp in our backyard. I will hand it over to my wife. My accent is pretty weird to understand, so here she is.
Good evening. So our ramp has existed on our property for more than 11 years, mostly without any issue. But first and foremost, this is our family home. The ramp is for personal use by our family and friends, and we do not conduct any business with it. My husband has lived in Vista since 2005. He originally immigrated here from Brazil in late 2001 on an athlete visa with $140 in his pocket, a month after 9/11 and speaking no English. Evandro soon found himself homeless and penniless. Through nothing but determination and hard work, he found his way. Today, he's a proud naturalized citizen, a Vista homeowner, and runs his own business. Before leaving Brazil, Evandro had told his friends his dream was to move to the United States and have his own backyard skateboard ramp. People laughed at him, told him it wasn't possible. Through nothing but determination and hard work, he found his way. He was very poor and Black and living in a third world country, but against every odd, he made his dream happen. I would like to emphasize that our ramp was not built in haste. Vista's long history of being a skateboard-friendly city was one of the primary attractions for leading us here. We thoroughly researched the property, emailed with and spoke with City of Vista officials before buying the property, all to make sure that this ramp was possible. After learning that there were no legal barriers, we consulted with neighbors. All our adjacent neighbors at the time gave us their blessing, and so we moved forward. One adjacent neighbor allowed us to use his yard to move in our materials and equipment. Another helped us with various parts of the process and allowed us to borrow equipment. And the greater neighborhood has been overwhelmingly supportive as well. We poured our life savings into this ramp. We built it ourselves without any sponsors to help. We have a second mortgage we took out to cover the initial ramp construction, and we're still paying off. Also, in the last few years, we remodeled part of our backyard around the ramp, investing nearly $20,000. Without the ramp, many of these modifications are useless. And this was done before we were aware of any complaints to the city. To think that we could lose all of that is so incredibly heartbreaking to me. We would never have bought this home nor built the ramp in Vista had we seen these rules coming. I will say that the outpouring of support from most of the neighbors during this process has been really heartwarming. The majority of our neighbors have reached out to us personally to express support for us, and I know many wrote letters. I would also like to emphasize that not one person has ever once come to me to express any concerns about the ramp or its use. I've only heard positive feedback. They have my name and phone number. I have left letters in mailboxes on a couple of different occasions, and I have to date not received a single visit, phone call, text message, or email expressing any concerns. We remain open to discussion with any of our neighbors. I will emphasize that we work very hard to ensure that our ramp and its use is not a nuisance. I personally work from home. I am on Zoom calls most of the day. My children are homeschooled. They're on Zoom calls most of the day. My office window is directly facing the ramp, and I never have any problem with noise during my calls, nor is it loud enough to impact my children's school meetings. That said, we continue to make investments and limit use out of consideration of our neighbors. We have added screening, landscaping, and noise insulation at our own expense. We avoid skating on Sundays and holidays. We do not have lights on the ramp. We therefore never skate after dark. We do our best to minimize the number of people using it at one time in order to reduce noise. We also have promptly and in good faith addressed every single concern raised by the city in regards to our ramp and our property. My husband has invested everything into this ramp. His career was built around it. He worked for 35 years to get where he is, and this ramp is part of his identity and credibility as a skateboarder. Ask any Black skateboarder, and they will tell you that it is extremely difficult to be noticed in this industry as a person of color. The ramp gave my husband the edge he needed to become what he is today. If that were taken away, it would hurt his career and everything he has worked for. It would take opportunity away from my children who love to skate and are progressing. We do understand that these structures are unusual and are thus very respectful of the city's desire to add in some guidelines. But out of respect for our investment and in honor of our efforts to do everything right to the best of our ability, we request approval of the permit. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Questions of staff or the applicant? I see none, so thank you. Okay, with that, we will open the public hearing, and I have a number of speaker requests, so I'll call them in the order that I've received them. And the first one is Alicia Hutchinson.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Alicia Hutchinson. I live at 1280 Oak Drive, next door to the skate park at 1264 Oak Drive, the property applying for the minor use permit. Thank you for your careful attention to this matter. Some things that I would like for you to ask yourselves as you consider the approval of this permit are, in light of the many complaints that have been made over the past several years from neighbors who are not in support of this skate park being approved to operate, have you considered that the activity that this skate park invites is in violation of the city's noise ordinance? If this permit passes, will it be working with or against the existing city noise ordinance? Because we have submitted evidence showing the level of noise coming from that skate ramp, which violates the city and county noise ordinances. I would also like you to ask yourselves how the proposed hours of operation are fair to any of the surrounding neighbors. Those are prime time hours that we would also like to enjoy our backyard with peace and privacy. I ask you also to keep in mind that the majority of the people who may be speaking in favor of this skate park being allowed to operate in a residential neighborhood do not live within 500 feet of this property, and I would ask if they are even tax-paying residents of Vista. As I have mentioned in previous city council meetings, the height of this ramp, along with the stadium seating for spectators, invades my privacy as I use my hot tub and swimming pool. I would like to extend an open invitation to all members of the Planning Commission to visit my backyard at any time for a firsthand look and listen to the concerns that I have shared here tonight. This is also just a reminder, there are other skate parks in Vista for all the public to use that are not in a residential zone. Moving this ramp 10 feet closer to my property will just increase the existing invasion of my privacy in my backyard, increase the noise level that already induces anxiety and panic attacks, robbing us of the quality of life and enjoyment of our property. And to respond to the communication to the neighbors, I must say that on 2 different occasions, my husband has tried to communicate with Evandro, asking for a 50.
Thank you for your comments. Did staff want to address the noise comments?
We could. There is a condition within the resolution before you tonight requiring this ramp to comply with the city's noise ordinance. The noise ordinance currently states that any activities within between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. shall be limited to 50 decibels maximum within a 1-hour average time frame. So keep in mind that an activity can increase beyond that 50 decibels. However, we look at it within an hour average time frame.
Very good, thank you. Next speaker would be Tony Hutchinson. I'm sorry. Not right now, I can't. Okay, now I do, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, before you speak, Commissioner DeJesus and Commissioner Hastings had some questions.
So you need to refresh it, I think, or clear it, and then, but I do want to speak, so.
Yeah, okay, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, so now you can. Sorry.
Just a second, please. There was a question.
Mr. Ressler, can I ask, and maybe this is a question for Amanda, can I ask about the applicant some questions? Can we bring them back up? And can I ask about the information that we received in the packet about the, from neighbors or somebody that having the Venmo receipts for business? I mean, can I make those, can I ask those questions or no?
Yeah, those questions can be asked. I don't know if you want to do that after the public
Okay.
hearing's been done.
Thank you. Thanks for the direction.
Very good, okay. Mr. Hutchinson?
Hi, I'm Tony Hutchinson. I live next door to Mr. Menezes at 1280 Oak Drive. I'd like to thank the Planning Commission for unanimously recommending this ordinance to the City Council to become law in 2022, and for the City Council unanimously approving this ordinance in 2023. There have been several neighbor complaints regarding the size and noise of the ramp in our residential zone neighborhood. The reality is, Oak Drive is too small. The houses are too close to each other, and the ramp and the noise it generates is too big for the neighborhood. This is a poor use of land in my neighbor's backyard, and this ramp does not belong there. Elliot Sloan, the other large ramp owner, did it the right way. He first bought a large 1.6 acre property. Then he built his ramp to fit his property, creating plenty of setback space, 40 plus feet, in consideration of his neighbors. He then made it a priority to create and keep respectful relationships with them by being considerate of their rights to enjoy their properties, by responding to their complaints and maintaining regular communication with them. My neighbor has not shown any such considerations to neighbors by cramming this 2,000 square foot commercial sized ramp that he got for free from the Encinitas YMCA into his very small backyard with almost no setback, and then running commercial-like activities on it 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, making it a huge noise nuisance. This has been going on for several years. The staff recommendation is requiring my neighbor to move his ramp 10 feet closer to my property. I don't see how this is possible, since from my vantage point, I don't see that space existing. But even if it did exist, moving it closer to me would exasperate the invasion of privacy and noise my wife and I already have to endure. This goes against the intentions of the staff recommendations. It doesn't matter how much he moves his ramp one way or another in his too small of a backyard, or how much soundproofing he does to his ramp or property. The houses are too close, and the 10 to 20 foot setback space will never minimize potential impacts or improve the quality of life for everyone else. My neighbor has multiple ramps and stadium seating, which now makes his former residential backyard a skate park, a training facility, and event venue. This is not playground equipment for personal use. This is a setup that invites loud commercial activity and running a business which the Planning Commission fined him for when he admitted it to them in 2022. Is this a responsible use of residential land? The incredibly loud, explosive-like sounds made from the skateboards and skateboarders hitting the ramp are on the same level as those you hear coming from Camp Pendleton's military exercises. You know, the ones that shutter your windows and thunder the ground underneath you? Could you live with this in your house? Denying this permit would begin the process of finding a more appropriate location for my neighbor's large ramp. Then
Thank you, Mr. Hutchinson. Next speaker is Tom Payne.
Hello. I don't really have a lot to add to what I said earlier in the year plus ago. There was quite a bit of noise during the day. Not really much of a let up. I'd have to say that there's been generally a little less this last year, and today there was none. It was wonderful. I wish it was like that every day.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Summer Shabazi?
Hi, my name is Summer Shabazi, and tonight I'm talking for myself and my husband and my in-laws. We moved into 1248 Oak Drive on the south side of the Menezes residence in October of '22. We're here today in hopes that you will approve the permit for the skate ramp on their property. The skate ramp on their property has not hindered our happiness or comfort since we've moved in. We've never had to ask them to quiet down their activities because it's never reached a level that's been higher than normal play in your front yard with your kids. We hear music, we hear people laughing and cheering each other on, but I've never heard people cursing, or we've never found trash over our fence or litter on the street where people park. We've never found that from them. We also knew that before we bought our house at Oak Drive on the south side, that there was a skateboard ramp, and we took that into consideration. But like I said, since we've moved there, we've never had any issues with our comfort. It's also previously mentioned that the skateboard ramp has 0 feet setback on the south side of the ramp. I think that was on the screen earlier. I don't find that to be true because I know that a skateboard ramp is not butted up against the fence at my house. But even with its close proximity, my yard, I've never had the same issues these other neighbors are here complaining about tonight. I've never had my windows rattle or any noises of the sort. And I'd also like to mention that Evandro and Courtney are easily accessible because they're out in their yard with their kids all day long on a daily basis. So if you ever need to have a conversation with them, they're easy to find and they're not hiding. So if I ever needed to say, hey, could you keep it down, they wouldn't be hard to find. I've never felt a need to make that request, and they're always accessible. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Beth Forbes?
Planning Commission members, with respect, I address you. My name is Beth Forbes. My wife and I purchased our home at 1280 Oak Drive in September of 2004. We made capital improvements, we remodeled the kitchen, put in a roof, solar, and we put in a saltwater swimming pool with jacuzzi, all permitted through the city of Vista. We planned on retiring there. This was our Eden. Unfortunately, we sold our home under duress because of Evandro and Courtney in July of 2017 at a substantial loss. During this time, when Evandro was going to build this thing, I gave no approval for this ramp. As a matter of fact, I hired an attorney, and I came to the city of Vista to discuss my issues. It all fell on deaf ears. I was told there was no recourse. I would like to now discuss playground equipment. According to lawinsider.com, playground equipment means an apparatus which is designed for recreational use, as in a playground, swings, seesaws, that sort of thing, primarily intended for use by children, such as the case of Bringle Terrace Park here in Vista. The structure in the backyard of Evandro and Courtney is not playground equipment. It's a 35-foot high, unstable, and decaying monstrosity. The ramp was discarded by the Encinitas YMCA because it was old and unstable. I talked to them about that. As he purports that this structure was built in 2013 is a total lie. All of the substantial structure that supports this is from the original ramp from Encinitas, which was built way before 2013. And my concern about a legal setback. Why is there a 0 setback on the south side of the property? There's a 2-foot setback between the back of the ramp and that fence. I would be concerned if I lived on the south side, if one of these skateboarders crashed onto my property and hurt himself. What's my liability? Why is there no setback? When I poured my concrete for my pool, I had to have a 6-foot setback by the city of Vista for a concrete slab. I'm not talking about a 35-foot structure. And being that this structure is over 35 feet with stadium seating and electrical lighting that he's taken down and put back up on a whim, why doesn't this need a building permit to ensure the structural integrity and soundness and ensure the safety of the patrons? What happens if there's a fire? What happens if the structure?
Thank you. Elizabeth Shabazi?
Shabazi, and I live at 1248 Oak Drive, and I live with my husband Sam, my son Ben, and my daughter-in-law Summer, who spoke. And I echo what Summers has been saying. I want to let you know that I am home all day and all night. I don't go anywhere. So I can tell you that all that I hear from time to time is something that actually brings me joy. I hear children, a few children on the skateboard ramp, and I hear Evandro cheering them on, and it warms my heart because we moved to Vista almost 2 years ago, and I looked around at the community and I wanted to see if it reflected my values. And I value the safety of childhood. I value community building. And you all must know what, not just teenagers, but children, what kind of things they're exposed to. And just having this right next door to me, it feels so wholesome, and I really value what they're providing, and I value how they raise their children and the generosity that they're providing to the community. And I'm telling you, if it was going to bother anybody, it would be me, because I get agitated really easily. My family knows that. And I'm home all day, and I'm outside all day long in my garden. And so, you know, it really, I just hear joyful encouragement. That's what I hear from time to time. And I go out and I also I sing and make little noises as well. I mean, we all do. And so I echo what Summer said, and I just want to repeat what she said. When we were looking for a house, we looked at the community, we looked at Oak Drive, the neighborhood. We saw that there's a skate ramp. It's not a skate park, it's a skate ramp where people play. And we wondered, well, do we want to live here? Yes, indeed, we want to live here. And I do think that, correct me if I'm wrong, that Vista values those things. Having a safe place for children or teenagers to play on occasion and to be outdoors instead of God knows what. So thank you for listening, and I hope you approve the permit.
And thank you for your comments. Greg Witt?
Hello, everyone. My name is Greg Witt, and I'll be quick. I'm one of the guys who helped organize the plan. So, okay, thanks. My role has been kind of being an active skateboarder, just like a older professional skateboarder guy who still keeps it going. And also, in response to some of the comments recently, I've also been an expert and I guess like an agency or company owner for one of the leading skate park design and build companies. So I can address a few of those things. One, I also wanted to say that I do live next to Guahomie Lake, but my kids go to Vista Unified School District. So I think we're paying some kind of taxes over here. There's just a couple points on the, I guess it's the north side. There's no possible way to look and view the neighbor's backyard. I'm up there multiple days a week. I've been very involved in this whole process. I've looked, I've inspected it. I'm not the inspector, but there's just no way of looking back in their backyard from up there. There's nothing remotely commercial about the vert skateboarding ramps. In fact, it's one of the least popular disciplines in professional skateboarding, and because of its difficulty, this is not commercial, this is not playground equipment, this is something crafted for a very specialized aspect of the sport. Just to super clarify that, like by every definition, all the way to ASTM standards, it is so far from playground equipment. And I know you guys are very familiar with all that. So last 2 points are, the history of this ramp is pretty iconic. It's not a free thing that's just given from the Encinitas YMCA. This is a community service project to remove aspects of a much larger ramp facility with the intention to keep the spirit and this type of skateboarding alive in the Southern California, if you will. So there's a lot more story behind that, and I think not really relevant, but I think important to point out. I guess most importantly, probably the only thing that'll really stick here tonight is that I think no matter what direction that we go in, I'm someone who's there frequently. Other like older industry people and other people doing Olympian feats are there. We're all very respectful, and I know that if any neighbors needed anything special to accommodate their lifestyle, I'm most certain that the family would accommodate. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Witt. Thomas Augusto?
Hi, my name is Thomas Augusto, and first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for giving me your time to listen. Evandro is a great person and a very respectful human towards others. I've been going to Evandro's ramp and home for the last 11 years, since I was 9 years old. I'm 20 now. I've never seen him disrespect neighbors and try to bother others around him. Mancha limits the sessions to a certain amount of people and never keeps the music too loud so that the noise stays at a minimum, and so he doesn't invade people's privacy, because obviously your home should be the space where you can relax. I've been coming to his house now for just about 11 years, and I am now on my road to Paris Olympic Games of 2024, coming up in August. None of this would have ever been possible without Evandro creating this safe and family-friendly environment that I can so gladly call my second home. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Next speaker would be Joseph, I believe it's Schumacher.
Is it on? Sorry. Hi, my name is Joseph Schumacher. I live at 1268 Oak Knoll Drive. I'm here in support of my neighbors, even though we do not share a property line. Our property lines are within approximately 400 feet. We purchased our house in 2008, so we've been in the neighborhood for 15 years. It was quite a cool addition to the neighborhood when they moved in and saw that they're, putting up a ramp. When I was younger, I was involved in extreme sports skating and all different things. And the ramp they were putting up, I used to skate when I was in high school. So it was kind of cool, even though it wasn't like the exact ramp, it was, pieces of it. So it was very, very nostalgic. Over the years, our families have become very close. Evandro and Courtney are amazing parents and amazing people, very considerate of others. Evandro has been teaching our kids to skate, helping them, learn how to skate vert, since it is a very small community in the skateboard community. And I just wanted to let you guys know that us on our street, we support them. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Tony Luna?
Hello, Commissioners. My name's Tony Luna. I live at 1285 Oak Knoll Drive. I share a property line with Evandro and Courtney. I just want to say I have tremendous respect for all my neighbors. I see them all here, and I don't have a problem with the ramp, and that's what I wanted to present. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Connie Brown?
Hi. Thank you for taking the time to go over this matter. I love it. I live at 1282 Oak Drive, right next to Tony, where my house sits in direct line with the ramp. There's a couple items within the Vista General Plan where it talks about supporting residents and keeping their overall health and well-being of the residents, and about buffers and boundaries before how noises impacted residents within the general plan. Sorry, I don't speak well. I can tell you from my point of view directly, I not only have background noise, I have house noise. That noise has happened, and I rescue parrots. Parrots have flown into the window, and I've incurred costs based on that. Honestly, if I could right now, I'd move. But unfortunately, California disclosure laws and property values are going to affect me with this ramp. There's no way around it. I can't not disclose this ramp being an issue when selling my property. I have nothing against kids learning to skate. There is a ramp there at 6 feet tall. Kids can skate there. But this ramp, and due respect to Elizabeth, the day that they moved in was the day we started this process with the planning department, and activity was lowered a bit. they haven't experienced what you're looking at now. The other issue is 48 hours a week is a lot. Elliot asked for 3 days and a few hours on those days. As he said himself, the owner of the ramp, that this would ruin his career because this is a business. You can see the corporate sponsors. This is a business. And I believe Mr. Grimm, last meeting you brought up, you know, is there income and things generated? And Elliot's ramp. According to DRS, it is. It's called barter, and corporate sponsorship is an IRS generating income. So it isn't, it's being portrayed as a small kid's ramp. It isn't. There's adults that ramp is big. This is not there are a few girls that I've noticed. There's stuff online you can go watch. It's drone footage of it. There's all kinds of things to tell you what it really is. I understand that some neighbors, oops.
Go ahead and finish up. Very good. Thank you very much. That is all the official slips that I have gone through. Is there anybody else that hasn't spoke, would like to come forward and speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and open up for Planning Commission questions and discussion. Commissioner DeJesus?
I'd like to ask questions about the business side aspect of it. Ms. Guy, is that okay if I do that? Speak to the property owner about business happenings. Can we call him up, the owner, please?
Yeah.
Hi, thanks.
Yes.
I have a question. Do you take Venmo payments for services provided to children or adults on the skateboard ramp for skateboarding purposes?
Not currently, no. The screenshots were from 2022, I believe, and there was a previous misunderstanding. So yes, at one point we were.
There are several examples of it.
Yeah, what had happened, my cousin is a coach, usually off-site, and he does like video consultations and works mostly remotely. During COVID, because everything was shut down, in order to make ends meet, he agreed, he had people asking him if they could come take lessons on the ramp. And so he said, sure. Several neighbors were aware. We weren't aware there were any concerns. I have a business, and I have a home occupancy permit and a business license for my business, which is done entirely like over Zoom and other things. And I sent in an amendment to the city when we renewed our business license and added in his lessons, and I sent in an amendment to the home occupancy permit and added the lessons. And when we went and turned it in, we were told if this is denied, you will receive a notification. And we never received a notification. So we were operating under the premise that it had been approved because I received by email a receipt saying your business license was approved. And I assumed that meant also the HOP, which we had submitted at the same time. When we came to that initial hearing and became aware that there was an issue, and with that, we did receive a violation in the mail. We immediately contacted John Connolly and code enforcement and had a sit-down meeting with them and explained. I showed them my copy of the amendment, which they confirmed they did not have on file. And he said it would not have been approved, and so they waived the violation, and they said, we will, just moving forward, you have to cease any business activity there. So he's since moved everything back off-site.
And so your business license has nothing to do with skateboarding lessons?
No, my business license has to do with like education, health education.
And the other question I have is, do you know what year this was? The picture where there's lots of people that are watching?
That's a 2020.
That's 2020.
Okay. And then I have one other question. Sorry. But I'm sorry, it's for staff, so I'm good. I don't know if you have anybody else's.
I had a question too. So you understand then that this would no longer be acceptable?
Totally.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
And we've let the city know we have no plans to do anything like that in the future.
Okay, and you'd mentioned that your husband had built up his business. I assume that his business that he has today is not associated with.
No, he's a skateboard coach, but he is flown to other countries to coach. He coaches at different skate parks around here, at the California Training Facility in Vista, and he does video consults. He also is a business consultant, so he flies around the world and helps countries, other companies import their products into Brazil within the industry. And yeah, and he's a skateboarder. He's no longer professional, so he'll attend demos and things. He does have some sponsors, but it's more just kind of who he is in general. It has nothing to do with the ramp.
It's just to support myself, not what the ramp is.
Sure. Okay, very good. Any other questions of the applicant while they're up?
Can I?
Do you have plans to use lighting at any time?
No, we had lights up there. We became aware that we needed a permit to have them. We had not turned them on in many, many months. So we took them down, maybe years. We have no plans to put them back up. I mean, I have young kids. I want everyone out of my house usually by 6 or 7. I need to get them in bath and bed. We are not late people. We don't have parties very late, birthday parties maybe for the most part, outside of those events that we did have. And then as far as use, I personally tracked use of the ramp over a 3-month period from November through February. I have a spreadsheet. I tracked 106 days, exact use of the ramp over those 106 days. People were skating on the ramp at any point in time on 40 of them. So that's an average of 11 days a month. So it's not every single day. The hours that were put up there are just hours that we're allowed to use it, or that, we might use it within those hours. But we're not using it all of those hours by any means. Also, when I tracked on the spreadsheet, I looked at the number of people using the ramp at any one time during that entire period. The average was 2.8. So it's between 2 and 3 people for the most part. A lot of times it's just 1 or 2. The average time per session was 1 hour and 16 minutes. And I have all that data if anyone wants to see it. And in the past 3 weeks, there have been 4, maybe 5 days of use at all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anything else?
I don't see any other questions, so. Okay, further Planning Commission discussion? Commissioner Savage?
Yeah, there was some discussion about when they were moving in and investigating this. Is there any documentation on our side about them investigating the ability to build this skate ramp?
They probably talked to staff at the front counter over the phone. We wouldn't have any documentation, anything like that. Before the policy was adopted, we were considering a lot of these skateboard ramps more play structures. We would refer to them as play structures in relationship to the code requirements. So there were a different way we reviewed it. Now that we have a policy, we have strict standards that we have to abide by.
Right. And then do we have any noise violations where that was tracked, the hour-long, over 50 decibels?
That we have nothing on file.
Okay, cool. That was it for me.
Commissioner DeJesus?
Just can't get enough here, so I have more questions. Who has oversight of noise ordinances? If a neighbor came, had a decibel reader, and they showed you proof of that, would the sheriff have oversight of noise? How is noise regulated in this particular instance?
Yeah, the noise ordinance is enforced by the San Diego Sheriff's Department.
Right, so we have no oversight of that.
Correct, and it would not be code enforcement, it'd actually be the Sheriff's Department.
Okay. This use permit is limited to what is written in our in the item, and the time. There's no use of it from 7 p.m. till 10 a.m.
As of right now, the condition reads that, use of skateboard ramps subject to minor use permit shall be permitted between the hours of 7, shall not be permitted between the hours of 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., excuse me. However,
Oh, 7 a.m.
if the Planning Commission decides to move forward and approve this project, we suggest that you include an addition to that condition indicating there'll be no ramp activities during Vista holidays identified by Vista or something like that, so that we can put that in there as well.
Thank you.
And I would just add also Sundays, because the PowerPoint indicated holidays and Sundays.
Okay, perfect. The last thing I have is that, is my recollection wrong in that they're going to have to move the ramp 10 feet from a setback?
Yeah, the policy adopted by the city council indicates the ramp has to maintain the same setbacks as a primary residence on the property. That would be a 10-foot side yard setback and a 10-foot rear yard setback minimum.
And it currently does not meet the setback requirements?
That's correct. The ramp actually sits directly on the property line. So in the event this is approved, there's a condition within the resolution that requires that ramp to be moved to the north 10 feet.
Okay.
A question for staff. If the neighbors do find that there's a violation of the conditions, if this is approved, what would their path be in terms of getting,
Yeah, if there's a violation of a condition, then they would notify the city, and at that point, we could go back to the Planning Commission, discuss the condition, introduce potentially modified conditions, or actually revocate the permit itself.
Okay, so if it does come back, the commission could revoke the permit then? Yeah, okay, very good. Commissioner DeJesus.
It's understandable that sometimes people don't like noise when it's close to you. We don't have oversight of the noise. We can only look at the use permit, and I feel that we have enough support, and I feel that approving this minor use permit is within the scope of what staff has said. And to that end, I'd like to make a motion to approve item P23-0216 with an addition of no use on Sundays and the hours
I think we would just...
and holidays that the city of Vista recognizes. And I think that's it.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Commissioner Savage.
I'll second that.
Very good. There's any further discussion on that? If not, we have a motion and a second. Would you please cast your votes, please?
May I have a hand vote, please?
Okay, all in favor? It passes unanimously. The applicant understands it was approved? Very good. Okay, item number 2 is a request for a special use permit to construct and operate a wireless telecommunications facility. And as soon as things clear out, Rafi, we could have a staff report, please. Better late than never.
Good evening, Chairman Grimm, Commissioners, staff, members of the public. It is my pleasure to present to you tonight an application for a special use permit for a mono broadleaf faux tree for a wireless telecommunications facility, permit number P23-0217. Project area is located at 1050 Valley Drive, which is known as City of Vista Fire Station number 2. Project area is approximately 11.6 acres, one legal parcel, and application is for a mono broadleaf tree for a telecommunications facility. Aerial photo includes Monte Vista Elementary to the east, surrounded by single-family residential uses to the north, south, and west. General plan designation is civic activity, CA, and zoning is CA, civic activity as well. Proposed project is for a special use permit for a mono broadleaf tree telecommunications facility. Special use permit is required for telecommunications facilities within 500 feet of residential and land uses and exceeding the allowable height limit in the CA zone. Operator will be AT&T Wireless, and the new freestanding tower will be a total of 40 feet in overall height. This will include 12 antennas and an average equipment enclosure roughly 300 square feet. This is the proposed site plan, and this proposed site plan with a more zoomed in view. The equipment plan will house any conduits, electrical, backup generators, and cabinets. And this is the proposed antenna layout plan for the proposed tower. This is the elevation of the faux broadleaf tree with all the leaves and branches, and the proposed 8-foot tall decorative block wall enclosure to house all the equipment. Just a different view. And in regards to the view from neighboring properties, view location number 1, this is what is currently existing and what is proposed. View number 2, and view number 3. In regards to coverage, the left image shows what the current coverage is without the cell site tower being located there, and the right side will show what the coverage will be when this cell site is fully operational. Proposed tower meets the maximum height in zone, which is 35 feet. However, the faux branches and leaves do exceed that height limitation to 40 feet. Per Vista Development Code Section 18.58150, structures may be allowed to exceed height limit designated per the zone of the subject site, subject to a special use permit at the consideration of the Planning Commission. Property is city-owned. City-owned property is a preferred location per our telecommunications ordinance, per Vista Development Code 18.92.070A. Proposed tree also integrates with existing vegetation and trees that are currently found on the property. The nearest house or residential use is approximately 150 feet away. Staff's recommendation is to adopt resolution granting a special use permit to construct and operate a wireless telecommunications facility consisting of 12 antennas and associated equipment mounted on a new 40-foot tall freestanding wireless tower disguised as a mono broadleaf tree located at 1050 Valley Drive. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Is there an applicant presentation?
Applicant is here to answer any questions, but there is no presentation from the applicant.
Very good. Any questions from the Planning Commission? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing for anyone that wishes to speak on this item. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open it for Planning Commission discussion or a motion. Commissioner DeJesus? Oh, you withdrew. Okay. Commissioner Savage?
Yeah, I mean, kind of feels like we're all kind of in agreement on this one, so I think you were going to make a motion, so I'll just go ahead and do that. But yeah, just to mention, this is exactly what we're looking for, right? It's hidden, it looks great, it looks like a tree, and it's far enough away from homes that it really looks like a tree. So I would like to move to adopt the resolution granting a special use permit to construct and operate a wireless telecommunications facility consisting of 12 antennas and associated equipment mounted on a new 40-foot tall freestanding wireless tower disguised as broadleaf tree located at 1050 Valley Drive.
Commissioner Hastings?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I also wanted to ask if our student commissioner, Takano, had any comments? Very good, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. See if we get lucky this time.
Everybody locked in?
Yes.
It didn't work. Sorry.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hands. Passes 5-0. Okay, the next item is also a public hearing for a special use permit for the removal and replacement of an approved stealth wireless telecommunications facility on Mar Vista Drive. Ravi.
All right, and for the second item of tonight, application is for a special use permit for a Pine Tree Wireless Communications Facility, permit number P230399. This project site is located at 330 Mar Vista Drive. Project area is approximately 4.03 acres, is one legal parcel, and it used to be the Motel 6 property along the Highway 78. It has been switched to a single-room occupancy hotel. Existing telecommunications tower is housed within the existing Motel 6 freeway-oriented sign. This is the image of the existing sign, Motel 6, and the housing, which is housing the current telecommunications antennas. Project site is surrounded by single-family residences and Highway 78. General plan designation is MLD, medium-low density residential, and the zoning is R1, residential. Proposed project is for a Pine Tree telecommunications facility. Special use permit is required for telecommunications facilities within 500 feet of a residential use and exceeding the allowable height limit in the R1 zone. This operator will be Verizon Wireless. The 40-foot tall freestanding tower, which is disguised as a pine tree, will replace the existing 45-foot tall freestanding tower disguised as a Motel 6 freeway sign. The project will have 12 antennas and approximately 368 square feet of an equipment enclosure that currently exists and will remain unchanged. This is the proposed site plan of the property and the existing equipment enclosure, which is to remain unchanged. The existing antennas are currently located in the Motel 6 signage, and the proposed tree antenna layout is on the right-hand side. Elevations of what is currently there is a Motel 6 sign. The height is approximately 45 feet, which will be reduced down to 40 feet. For the new telecommunications facility. This is a different elevation view. And in regards to the photo simulations, the existing Motel 6 sign is what it looks like today with the existing equipment enclosure. And on the right side is what the faux pine tree will look like. A different view. One more. And this is what it's currently looked like on the westbound and eastbound Highway 78. And this is what we will see when this work is fully completed. Without the cell tower, you can see the image is pretty sparse with coverage for cell coverage for Verizon. On the right side is what it will be, which is improving the connection and service for that area. Proposed tower meets maximum height in zone, about 35 feet. The faux branches and leaves will extend to a maximum of 40 feet for the overall structure. Per Visit Development Code 1858150, structures may be allowed to exceed height limit designated per the zone of the subject site, subject to an SUP approval by the Planning Commission. Residential zone is not a preferred location per Visit Development Code 1892070A. However, the telecommunications tower is already existing as a Motel 6 freeway-oriented sign previously approved by the Planning Commission Resolution Number 96-37 per planning case number PC 11039, and that was in the year 1996. Proposed tree integrates with existing landscaping, and the nearest residential use is approximately 55 feet away. Staff's recommendation is to adopt Resolution 2024, granting a special use permit to construct and operate a wireless telecommunications facility consisting of 12 antennas and associated equipment mounted on a new 40-foot tall freestanding wireless tower disguised as a pine tree located at 330 Mar Vista Drive. This will be inclusive of an added condition of approval in regards to avian nesting, which will read as follows. If avoidance of construction activities during the avian breeding season, typically February 1 through August 31st, is not feasible, the applicant and/or owner shall hire a qualified biological monitor with experience in conducting breeding bird surveys to conduct a pre-construction bird survey beginning 30 days prior to initiation of any construction activities. The bird surveys shall be conducted to detect the nests of protected native birds occurring in suitable nesting habitat within 300 feet of the disturbance area and/or within 500 feet for raptors. If nesting activity is not detected, construction may proceed. If an active nest is located, construction activities within 300 feet of the bird nest or within 500 feet for a raptor's nest or otherwise as determined by the qualified biological monitor must be postponed until the nest is vacated and juveniles have fledged, and there is no evidence of a second attempt at nesting. Flagging, stakes, and/or construction fencing shall be used to demarcate the inside boundary of the buffer between the construction activities and the nest. All contractors working on-site shall be instructed by the qualified biologist on the sensitivity of the area. Qualified biological monitors shall immediately notify the city planner if project activities damage active avian nests. If a qualified biological monitor determines that a narrower buffer between the project activities and observed active nests is warranted, he/she shall submit a written explanation to support this determination. Species, specific information, ambient conditions, and birds' habituation to them, to the city planner, and upon request of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Based on the submitted information, the city planner, in consultation with the qualified biological monitor, will determine whether to allow the narrower buffer. That does conclude staff's presentation. If you have any questions, I can answer them. Applicant is here as well. No presentation.
Very good. Questions from the Planning Commission? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. If there's anybody that wishes to speak, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and open it for Planning Commission discussion or a motion. Sorry, it just went out on me. Oh, got it. Mr. Savage? Oh, that was for last time. Okay. One of these days I'll get this thing straight. Okay, Commissioner Hastings, or was that last time from you too? Yeah. Okay, and Commissioner DeJesus? Okay, so we just clear it all out. Okay, very good. Oh, you do have one. Why don't you go ahead then?
A couple of things caught my eye for staff. One is the 55 feet from residential. This used to be a Motel 6, which transient sort of occupancy, right? Because it's a motel. Mm-hmm. And now we have it set up for SRO occupancy. Has that opened yet for occupancy?
I don't believe so. I believe they're still going through building permit review.
And so they're going to have, so they haven't rented anything out subject to that? Like there's not any leases in place awaiting for permitting? The point I'm trying to make is, are the people that are going to be living there and signing a one-year lease, do they have to be made aware that are in the lease process? Because they're actively taking applications for occupancy. I know that for a fact because I've called them. So not for me, but for a friend. So I'm just concerned that, if this was occupied, would they be noticed? Maybe that's the better way, let me back into it. If it were occupied with current tenants, would they be noticed that this was coming before the Planning Commission to be approved?
So at the moment, to my knowledge, and I don't, Patsy can attest to this too, I don't think anyone has moved in to the SRO hotel just yet. As of permits, I don't believe have been issued quite yet either.
Okay.
But if there were people living on the property would be notified with the public noticing, being posted along the street, the newspaper, as well as the public mailings.
Okay. Thank you for that. And the other question I had, this was already an existing telecommunication site, but obviously it's not a Motel 6, so they're replacing it with the tree.
Correct.
The same wavelength or whatever, the same power of the antenna that was previously there, just now a different facade?
So same location, same number of antennas essentially. However, antennas can change with the operator depending on what they need for that area. So whether it's mapping, GPS, 3G, 4G, 5G, that's up to the operator to determine that at that point.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a question as well. I probably should have asked this on the last one, but I didn't think about. Do we have any idea what the lifespan of these trees are? And also, I couldn't find a condition in there. I found a condition on landscape, but I couldn't find a condition that if one of the struts broke off or something like that, that they had to be repaired right away. Is there any kind of condition that deals with the structure of the tree itself?
The pine tree or the faux trees do have to be well maintained. If staff notices that they're falling apart or dilapidating, or we get a complaint, then yes, we would send out code enforcement, see what's happening, or building department to issue any kind of violation, or just a notice that, hey, you need to reinstall whatever branch fell off, or make sure that it's operating in an orderly fashion. As far as the lifespan of these trees,
Just a second, before you go into that, do you feel you have the teeth to do that? I guess that's what I'm asking. Do you need a condition regarding the maintenance of the structure, or you feel like you have enough under existing?
I believe staff has ability to do that, but if we needed to add a condition, we could be open to it too if the applicant's willing to accept that as well.
Yeah, it's probably not a problem in the near future. I'm just thinking maybe down the line it could be.
Is it a question to me?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you answered it.
Okay.
You feel you have enough teeth to enforce that, I think is what you're telling me.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then I won't propose a condition. Commissioner DeJesus?
I just wanted to add that if you've seen the Motel 6 sign, this is a far better.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
No question. I'm just thinking
That's
down the road
dilapidated.
for maintenance, but that's fine. Okay, seeing no more questions, does our student commissioner have any comments? Very good. With that, entertain more discussion or a motion.
Before a motion is made, I just want to make sure that whoever does make the motion, if it's to approve, that the motion include the standard environmental conditions that staff read into the record.
Very good. Commissioner DeJesus.
I'd like to make a motion to pass, to approve P23-0399 as written, with the inclusion of what's in staff's report.
Okay, do we have a second? Commissioner McCarthy.
I'll second it.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Can you cast your votes, please?
If I could just ask you to take a hand vote, please, I think it will probably not happen.
Sure, that's fine. All in favor, please raise your hands. And again, we have a unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Okay. The final item tonight is not a public hearing. It's for the Planning Commission to make a finding of conformity with the City of Vista General Plan for the Capital Improvement Program. from 24-25 to 25-26. And if we could have a staff report, please.
Certainly. Good evening, Chairman Grimm, Commissioners, Patsy Chow, Assistant Director, Community Development. And if you allow me, I'll just stay here instead of moving, just to be efficient with time here tonight. Also with me tonight, we have Matt Atterbury from the Engineering Department, the Engineering Division Manager, to help me answer any questions regarding the capital improvement projects. So the item tonight is the action item. It's basically regarding a capital improvement program, which is a plan. It's a budget document that addresses any forthcoming capital public projects covering a 2-year period. So according to the State Government Code Section 65401, it requires the City Council to actually obtain a recommendation from the Planning Commission as to the conformity of new capital projects with of the CIP budget with the general plan. So staff, on a yearly basis, we bring to you, to your attention for addressing conformity with the general plan as far as new CIP projects. In this case, we're looking at fiscal year 24-25 and fiscal year 25-26. So again, the CIP, or Capital Improvement Program budget, it's a very large document. It has many projects that have been carried over the years and that have already been found in conformance with the general plan. So tonight's meeting, we're really focusing only on the 6 new projects. So the 6 new projects, they're as listed on this slide, starting with project number 8378. It's the Paseo Santa Fe pedestrian improvements, and that falls under streets project category. Then after that, and I have actually depictions of that, so I'll show that in the next upcoming slides. The second one will be West Vista Way, Cedar Road pedestrian improvements. Then Civic Center and Palo Vista Drive pedestrian improvements. After that, Via Center capacity, which has to do with Vista Sewer. South Santa Fe capacity improvement, again, Vista Sewer. And then Buena Outfall, which is part of the Buena District Sewer. So now, as far as depictions go, the Paseo Santa Fe pedestrian improvements, which is project, the first project, 8378. As shown on this slide, it basically between South Santa Fe and Eucalyptus in Palo Vista, there are 4 currently marked but uncontrolled crosswalks. And so this project would basically providing for designing and installation of push-button activated rapid rectangular flashing beacons and LED light-embedded pedestrian warning signs at these particular 4 crossings that would actually improve overall safety. This next project at the intersection of West Vista Way and Cedar Road, it actually serving as a primary access to an existing bus stop on the south side of West Vista Way. The project would actually be completing a missing sidewalk segment on Cedar Road and installing an ADA curb ramp on the intersection, building a raised crosswalk across the intersection, and then constructing a raised pedestrian path on the south side of West Vista Way in order to connect to the bus stop. So this project will actually be providing a safe and a complete connection for pedestrians that are accessing the bus stop. The next project, 8380, which is basically the intersection of Civic Center Drive and Palo Vista Drive, is actually preempted by Sprinter trains that are traversing through the nearby railroad crossing. So this particular project would actually be installed what's called a Q-cutter traffic signal at the tracks. And that's going to ensure that the northbound traffic on Civic Center Drive does not back up to the tracks. This next project is the actual project 8381, which is a replacement and upsizing of 650 linear feet of trunk sewer main that's running from West Vista Way under Highway 78 down Via Center, and then reconstructing, rehabilitating associated manholes. The South Santa Fe capacity improvement, which is project number 8382, would also be replacing, upsizing approximately 750 linear feet of collector sewer main along South Santa Fe Drive near Civic Center, and then reconstructing, rehabilitating associated manholes. And last but not least, the Buena Outfall, which is Project 8383, again, is also in the form of rehabbing approximately 460 linear feet of Buena Outfall sewer interceptor. That's near Paseo del Norte in Carlsbad. And that's going to be utilizing what's called the cure-in-place lining system, a technology that will help mediate minor damage that's identified through the late 2023 CCTV. There was a camera inspection that was done back then. So with that, the recommendation from staff to the Planning Commission is for Planning Commission to make a finding of conformity with the City of Vista General Plan for the fiscal years 24-25, 25-26 Capital Improvement Program budget. And that completes the presentation. And I or Matt Atterberry are here in order to answer any questions that you may have on this item. Thank you very much.
Very good. Questions for staff? Is there anybody that here is that wishes to speak on this item? It's not a public hearing, but we do allow someone to speak if they wish. Seeing none, we can drop back into Planning Commission discussion or a motion.
So we need a motion to pass this?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to approve item A1, Capital Improvements Program for fiscal years 2024, 25, and 25, 26.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Commissioner Savage?
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. If you cast your votes, please. Yeah, just do. All in favor, please raise their hands. And again, it passes unanimously. Okay. Next item is reports from the Planning Commission or questions from the Planning Commission to staff. I actually did have one. I was wondering how Trader Joe's is doing. Do we have any upgrade on what's going on?
Thank you, Commissioner McCarthy. I think there's some, maybe timely at the end of the meeting, some problems with the system, the sound system. But anyways, in answer to the question about Trader Joe's, they have actually submitted this past week their plans for internal TIs, so it is definitely moving forward. In fact, I've already approved it for planning, and it is in approval motion or review by the other disciplines. So that's moving ahead.
Very good. A lot of people will be happy to hear that. Other questions, Commissioner Savage?
Yeah, I may have missed it, but the Kensho project, I was just curious if we had an update on that one. That's the one behind the train tracks on, Mater de Loma.
Thank you, Commissioner McCarthy. So basically, the Kensho project, after it was approved, the developer is looking at financing at this point. I think there's been some complexities as far as obtaining all the necessary financing. I think all the interest rates, all the conditions that are currently in the market, it's definitely not something that's making necessarily easier at this point to basically ignite, and start the project at this point. So we haven't received any construction documents at this point.
How are we looking on getting all the housing that our goal was? Like, where are we at with that? Were we behind a little bit?
Well, we've been actually very busy with building plan checks and continue to do so with all the phasings for the projects like Green Oak and Hanalei. So those are well and alive and continue to move forward. Obviously, we will be doing, I plan to actually do and contain an inventory of all the housing that's being built so that we can make sure that we're fulfilling all the requirements from RENA at this point. But that's something that we definitely look forward to doing. Right now, we're so busy with the general plan update which has been, ongoing effort. You guys have participated in all of the meetings, and Michael Ressler has been working hard with Rick Engineering, or Rick, the consulting firm. But needless to say, we're definitely moving forward with a lot of the housing projects. So I like to say that we're doing pretty good in that regard.
Commissioner DeChizes.
I just wanted to thank staff. That I know that skateboard issue was a lot of work, and thanks for bringing, and Patsy too, getting the letters to us, and it kind of was pretty drawn out in presentation to us, but it was, thank you for doing that. It was really comprehensive, and we appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Well said. Reports from staff. Gonna make you work.
Just give up and share the microphone, Commissioner McCarthy. Thank you, Commissioner McCarthy, again. Thank you for that comment, Commissioner DeJesus. A lot of effort from our city planner, Michael Ressler, and working really hard on the skate ramp, working with all the neighbors. So I just passed all the emails to you guys, but greatly effort on Mr. Ressler putting the project together and working with the applicant, with the neighbors, both sides of it, and just remaining neutral and doing a good job, as he always does. As far as comments, we have a project coming, projects that will be hopefully on June 18th. Just to let you know, the meeting is on, so please mark your calendars. It looks like for sure 2 items will be on that night, one large project and one item that will not be as large as the first one, but needless to say, please jot it down on your calendar. And after that, remains to be seen. We may have a meeting in July, maybe not, but we'll see. Maybe we'll give you guys a break.
Very good. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, well, we adjourned then. Hey.